Hello, it is Brad, codename 100Servings, and today we are going to play a little G.I. Joe Operation Blackout. I got the gold edition, so it had all the Snake Eyes movie DLC, it had digital art book, the soundtrack, everything on it. Brand new for 15 bucks. The game is widely available, not tough to get. I got it on Switch, but it's available on multiple other platforms. It's easy to get, it's easy to play, it's worth looking into. Of course, it runs on Unreal and was developed by Iguana Studios. We will talk about them in a little bit. There's a lot of different options here. You can run through the campaign, you can run through in co-op if you want to, or you can do any number of multiplayer games. The only downside of the multiplayer is that certain maps can only be used for certain events. So for example, if you want to play King of the Hill, you have to use either the Arctic map or the Austria Cobra facility. You want to play Team Arena, you get Cobra Island, Congo facility, or the Arashikage Dojo. That's all you get. I don't know, it's cool that it's in there, and like I said, you get the digital art book and the soundtrack. What's cool is the soundtrack includes all the 80s music also. I would play it for you, but then I'm certain this video would get content claimed because YouTube. So we're going to go ahead and start off, go single player. And I could play the first level, but it's a tutorial. So if you want to play a tutorial level, knock yourself out. I'm going to play on government issued difficulty. And there are modifiers here, so you can make the game impossible and difficult. Players have a maximum hit point of 1, enemies have increased hit points, or you can do stuff like players have infinite ammo, unlimited ultimates, you do more damage, double HP and armor, whatever you want. Now, normally for each mission, when you first play through the game, you're only going to get 2 characters you can choose from. I do find it amusing that your first actual mission in the game you play as Cobra, but, near and dear to my heart. Each side has 6 characters playable total. For Cobra, you got Cobra Commander, Storm Shadow, the Baroness, Firefly, Destro, and Zartan. Each of them represent a unique class. Zartan is a skirmisher, Destro Heavy Striker, Firefly Havoc, Baroness a Soldier, Storm Shadow Ninja, Cobra Commander Support. And then within that, you've got character skins. I do not have all of them unlocked. I really like that one. That is Cobra Commander's costume from the IDW G.I. Joe comics. There's the classic Cobra Commander and their new version. So we'll take him. You can also change your weapon skin if you've unlocked those. Hiss of Obedience, Camo, Neon, Venomous, or Gold. We're going to go with the basic here.
Cobra! Status report, dial tone.
All teams have reached their rallying points across the globe and are prepared to engage Cobra forces.
Even though IDW has the comic book license to G.I. Joe, they didn't do this artwork. This was actually done within studio. So I give them credit. They really went out of their way to do this, but it's not animated. It's comic book style cinematics.
Sir, we have incoming.
What was that?
Unknown. Not a missile. A crashed satellite, maybe?
Flagg, come in. Cobra bats everywhere. We're completely outnumbered. Their parachute...
What happened?
We're getting emergency communication.
Okay, we can go ahead and get into the game, right? Mission 1, capture the flag.
Foolish Joes.
Okay, so we've got a third-person shooter here.
Will never stop Cobra's advance.
And
Cobra!
zoom in with your left
Storm
shoulder
Shadow,
button.
Assist me.
Yes, sir, Commander.
Cobra! Yes!
And the majority of this game, you're going to be fighting mechanical drones instead of actual human enemies. I'm sure they did that for rating purposes.
This is mine now.
And your character can have 2 weapons with them. Cobra Commander starts off with his Hiss of Obedience and with the combat shotgun. You can pick up and change your secondary weapon, but not your primary weapon. You see in the upper left corner there is your radar, so you can see enemies coming in. This game also keeps the score, believe it or not, and there are multipliers and everything like that. Health is in the bottom left corner. You've got shield and health. Shield regenerates, health does not. You've also got a dash function for each character. Cobra Commander's allows him, he can dash, kind of, do a quick roll, but the big thing is it gives you faster movement for a brief time afterwards. And it's on a timer, so when you hear that sound, it comes back. When you want to reload, you hit your right bumper, and then the timer comes up. If you hit it right in the center, your weapon instantly reloads in half the time. So you kind of get into a rhythm of combat here. One big problem with this game is that, of course, it was developed on PC. But because of that, they never really accurately tested the port over of controls to a controller. So the downside is your aiming is very, very finicky. I'm sure if you're using a mouse and keyboard it wouldn't be too bad, but I decreased the acceleration down to 4 instead of 5. But the main way around this is using auto aim to your advantage. So here's an assault rifle. I'm going to swap that out with the combat shotgun because the combat shotgun has no range. Everybody has a jump button. And also everyone has a melee attack. Everybody but the ninjas just basically attacks with a knife. The 2 ninjas, Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow, get a katana. If you have auto aim turned on, whenever you go into your zoom in mode, it's going to zoom, snap your camera to the nearest enemy that you've got a clear line of sight on.
I was bored.
I did not have a clear line of sight on him, so it didn't snap to him. These boxes restore your ammo, the little containers restore your ammo, the green containers restore health. Fortunately, there is not friendly fire in this mode.
Ah, yes! This is mine now!
I remember the USS Flagg when I was a kid, and this thing was so cool. It cost a fortune, though. Yes, we're taking a trip back to the 80s, where Red Dawn wasn't a movie, it was a documentary. Not on
Ah, yes! This is mine!
how things could be, but how things were eventually going to be.
All AA batteries are still functional and covering the evacuation.
Defend those batteries at all cost. I'll hold the deck.
Oh, must I do everything myself?
Pretty much.
Storm Shadow, with me, now!
At once, Commander!
Again, I love the little things like this that they do that do change up the gameplay, give you a little bit of something different to do. There's a missile out there. I can't quite hit it yet, can I? There we go. Secondary objective complete. Main objective complete. Gotta clear the LZ.
Ready for Cobra's power?
Alright, and every character also has a superpower move.
Come to me!
Cobra Commanders fires out this
Ah, yes! This is
stream
mine!
of poison. Some of these are a lot more useful than others. Cobra Commanders is not great. This really more than anything else, this game feels like you're playing with the toys. It really doesn't feel like you're the characters. It feels like you're playing with action figures. From the way they look to the way they move to everything else. But I'm not saying that's a bad thing.
Evacuate the premises. This is not a drill. Women and children first.
Women? Why are there women and children on... Never mind. So, Iguana Bees, the studio that made this, is actually headquartered in Santiago, Chile. And I'm going to give them a lot of credit for the work they did on this game.
Yes!
Because they developed this game not just in the middle of the pandemic, but also in the middle of nationwide protests in Chile and a rewriting of their constitution. On top of all that, they still had the time to crank out a game.
I never thought I'd see your face around here, Cobra Commander.
You can't, he's wearing a mask.
No matter. Mainframe, time to speed up this battalion initiative of yours.
And not a moment too soon.
Come to me!
Let's see if I can lure him into it.
You
I
got away
can.
with it this time, Cobra Commander.
Tactical retreat.
Well, that wasn't nearly as hard as I thought. But the ship is still moving.
Follow me, sir. We must move below deck. We need to destroy the ship's generator.
So one of the big things Iguana Bees said about the development of this game was that they wanted to add a lot more characters. They had the license to, but the problem with that was, of course, that if you add more characters, you have to add more voice actors, and in the middle of a pandemic, adding a new voice actor is literally a health risk. There is still a lot of great stuff to this game. This game is a great example of a game that needs a sequel. With a sequel, they iron out a lot of the kinks in the gameplay. They could bring in more voice actors, bring in more characters, just do a lot more with what they have.
According to the plans we stole, the generator is right this way.
Yes! This ship will soon be mine. Here it is, the ship's heart.
The other thing is, to change up gameplay, they add all kinds of other objectives. In this particular one,
My nanites
you're
can
gonna have
disable
to
this console
stay in this
without
position
damaging the reactor.
until the time
Ingenious,
expires.
sir.
You can throw grenades with your left bumper. In a lot of ways, this is the kind of game I'm made for. Janky controls, low budget, lot of heart. That is right up my alley. The other reason I chose this game really is because I know just about everything about G.I. Joe.
While they do my bidding.
Yes, sir, Commander.
Cobra!
Freeze, reptile!
You again? Ah, it doesn't matter.
Duke, hold them while we finish evacuating everyone. I have several reports that
Get out of the
Cobra
way,
is
Storm
capturing
Shadow.
drones.
What are you doing here? What are you trying to accomplish?
Status report. All lower holds currently under Cobra's control.
Ready for Cobra's power?
It's pretty impressive that just Cobra Commander and Storm Shadow can retake this whole ship by themselves. And up to the control room.
Well, what are you waiting for? Hack it already!
If I hack it, the Joes can just hack it back, Commander. We need a more permanent solution.
You're a ninja. Just do what ninjas do. If I'm making this look easy, it kind of is. The
yes,
difficulty
this is mine.
consistency in this game is all over the place, because you're going to have areas that are almost impossible to defeat. And you're going to have areas that are an absolute cakewalk. Rack this up to developing a game in the middle of a pandemic in a nation with political instability.
It's finished.
Yes! This ship will soon be mine.
And we gotta do, plant the uplink.
This isn't over, Cobra.
Your tenacity is commendable, soldier. Too bad it's just wasted energy. All your troops belong to us now.
Come on, Snake Breath. Yo, Joe!
Come to me!
On my target!
Weakling.
He has a
Yes.
nifty super grenade
And
move.
so it begins. Cobra, capture any survivors. This ship is now mine.
So the reason why this is called Operation Blackout is Cobra takes over the USS Flagg and uses it to shut down all electronic devices on Earth, which somehow means hundreds of passenger planes don't crash into the ground, people in ICUs on ventilators don't just all up and die. You know, cartoon logic.
Equipped with special blackout drives were immune to its effect. With little effort, on what came to be known as C-Day, Cobra forces defeated the G.I. Joe strike team sent to engage them across the globe.
This is just all so delightfully silly.
Powers soon found themselves unable to stand against Cobra.
This all just happens overnight, apparently.
Confirmed the intelligence we stole from NASA last year. There is no reason to move up the timetable on our operation.
Dr. Mindbender. Dr. Mindbender is one of my favorite characters. His backstory is that he was an orthodontist trying to create a new form of anesthetic, so basically somebody wouldn't experience pain while he was working on their teeth. And he accidentally discovered mind control and decided to leave his practice as an orthodontist to join Cobra. Alright, we're going to pick a different level here. On the Joe side, you've got Snake Eyes as your ninja, Duke as your soldier, Sci-Fi as your Havoc, Lady J as support, Scarlet as your skirmisher, and Roadblock as your heavy striker. They really enjoyed using Sci-Fi because Sci-Fi didn't really have a personality. He wasn't really on the show, he wasn't really a well-known character, so they were able to kind of go nuts with him. Everybody else is a pretty established character. Try a different costume with Snake Eyes. Not this one. This was very infamously used on an episode of the G.I. Joe cartoon, because a lot of times Snake Eyes had to go in disguise with the rest of the Joes, and would just wear his costume directly over his ninja suit. Yeah, we'll go with that one. And change up the weapon to a heroic skin. I really have a hard time. I do not like the way that they portrayed Roadblock, because originally in the cartoon, Roadblock was Creole. That's why he was all about cooking. Is it a stereotype? Yes. But Captain Benjamin Sisko was Creole as well, and he was an outstanding cook.
This is it. We need to strike hard and fast.
Remember, the device I handed you will allow me to access
Roadblock
Cobra's
without an
consoles,
accent.
terminals,
It's a
and computers.
crime.
I would start by looking for a console to let me find where our friends are.
That would be in the command center?
Oddly enough, me
Mainframe.
and my
Let's
father
go, Scott.
both had a Creole drill sergeant,
Yo,
so
Joe!
it's kind of makes me a little sad. So the big differences between the ninja characters and the other ones is these guys are fast. He has his katana, which I believe is named, Ninjato, which I believe is named Vow of Silence. Storm Shadows are named, Wisdom and Fury, believe it or not. And for their dash, as you see down there on the bottom left, they have 3 bars, and they get to ninja dash up to 3 times. They also have a much lower shield, topping out at 130. Who is shooting? Other downside of Snake Eyes? Snake Eyes doesn't talk. So, not exactly a whole lot of witty banter between him and the other characters. Why doesn't he talk? Well, depends on which version of Snake Eyes you want to look at. And we have a secondary objective of securing all the data caches.
And as you can clearly see, Cobra is an inevitability. What is the meaning of this?
Oh, man.
Get them!
One of the other big differences with melee damage is melee damage goes straight to health instead of to shields. It's actually important to remember for when you're fighting against any of these characters that use melee weapons.
You will suffer for your interference, Joes. In due time.
That's it. Slither away. Scarlet, we're taking down the commander now. Follow me. We can't let him escape.
Hold it, Cowboy. We have a more important job to do here, remember?
I know you want to rescue the Joes, but it's Cobra Commander we're talking about here.
Doesn't matter, you rescue your teammates.
In his own castle? Heroics will get us nowhere.
I'm afraid she's right, Roadblock. We can't jeopardize the Joes. Especially for mere vendetta.
Ah, damn it, you're both right.
I do kind of like that they actually do have them, you know, act like G.I. Joes in this, you know, do the heroic thing, try to be the heroes. We can't really talk about G.I. Joe without talking about Larry Hama. Larry Hama was born in New York City in 1949 and is of Japanese descent. And so he studied Japanese martial arts, sword fighting, hand-to-hand combat, that kind of thing. But his real passion was art. And he actually started submitting stuff and getting published when he was 16. Yeah, we're going to start seeing more powerful enemies here. Again, it's good to have an up-close and a long-range weapon in this game. Keeping a bead on some of these enemies is a little rough. This is not Gears of War, let's put it that way. So anyways, Larry Hama joined the Army during the Vietnam War and served overseas in combat roles. Afterwards, he came back to the States, kind of went around trying to find work. Among the jobs that he held, he was an actor for a while. He was on stuff like Saturday Night Live. He was on
this place is chock full of bats.
An episode of MASH.
This is getting us nowhere.
Maybe I can help you.
But it just wasn't
Remember
what he
the
wanted to
device I
do.
gave you? That allows me to access Cobra's systems.
Okay.
Precisely.
So
we
in
can't
the 70s,
dilly-dally around. We
he
need
got
to reach that
into
command center.
Comic books. He worked for Marvel and DC. He worked on
Guys,
all kinds of stuff like Wonder Woman and worked his way up the ranks.
Use the console.
So in the late 70s, early 80s,
They won't stop no matter how many you destroy. Use the console.
Marvel had a development deal with Hasbro.
They won't stop no matter how many you destroy. Use the console. They won't stop no matter how many you destroy. Use the console.
God, Mainframe was always such a dork.
Activating self-destruct command in 3, 2, 1.
Larry Hama developed this spin-off for the Nick Fury and the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. called Fury Force. And they were going to have this whole big underground base, and everybody would have different specialties and all kinds of fun stuff. And Marvel was the ones to get cold feet. But Hasbro decided to go forward with the comics anyway. Or go forward with the product. And they launched it under the classic G.I. Joe action figures, which were originally 12-inch figures to kind of compete with Barbie. Larry Hama wasn't too upset about or anything like that. But the problem was, Marvel was still under contract to produce a comic book. Their editor-in-chief at the time was a guy named... Whoa! Just zoned in right next to me. Their editor-in-chief was a guy named Jim Shooter, and he put out the comic book offer to any of the other artists at Marvel, and none of them wanted it. None of them wanted the job because it was going to be a glorified toy ad. Well, Larry Hama at the time was an editor at Marvel. Not even a comic writer or artist. He was an editor. And they basically told him, this is your job. So Larry Hama wrote the G.I. Joe comics based on his experiences in the military and in Vietnam. And they were absolutely amazing. I had a bunch of them when I was a kid. In his version, it was a very dark and grim future where these men and women were locked into desperate battle. Stakes were high. People got hurt. People got killed. But really, he became recognized for his work after an issue called Silent Interlude. It was G.I. Joe issue number 6. And amazingly, issue 6 had no dialogue in it. No written speech, no any of that. And what it was is Scarlet was captured by Storm Shadow. And Snake Eyes had to go in and get her out. Storm Shadow sent his 3 apprentices to fight Snake Eyes. And it was brutal. And it was awesome. Snake Eyes was a ninja. He was also a commando. So he's not above using guns and grenades and everything like that to fight against them. That's also where the Arashikage symbol, like the one on his arm there,
is just ahead in the next
was
room.
first revealed as a tattoo on Storm Shadow and on Snake Eyes.
Of course. This isn't my first rodeo.
Enough chit-chat. Put your game faces on.
Alright, and this is the last Cobra data cache, so the secondary objective is complete. People started to realize, wow, this is really good comic book stuff. This is really interesting.
Your goose is cooked, Cobra Commander.
You again? It doesn't matter. Cobra! Defend this position with your lives!
They're robots.
Self-destruct command is now available.
Stop them! Destroy the console if you have to!
Larry Hama even actually wrote
is now available.
Loyal bats, protect me!
the character cards on the back of G.I. Joe action figures.
60 seconds until command is available again.
Ooh, found a collectible comic book. G.I. Joe ARAH, a real American hero. So my brother and I actually used to have an agreement when we were kids that he collected only Joes and I collected only Cobras. I just need to survive for 3 more seconds.
Victory is ours. Now it's time to rescue the Joes.
So one of the other modes that you can play in this is there are several sections of the game where you actually get to drive a tank. These are goodish sections of the game. So driving the tanks is a little bit on-rail shooter, a little bit, because you can't stop. You can't really control a lot of aspects of the tank. B to boost, A to brake, and those are landmines. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I know how to shoot. Your secondary weapon is this nifty cannon strike that I mostly use just for destroying vehicles. I always think it's funny, everybody remembers the Transformers movie, the original animated one. Nobody seems to remember the G.I. Joe one. Yes, that was the one where we found out that there's actually a subterranean race of snake people trying to take over the world. This looks easy, but these controls are so janky. I learned how to play games on an Intellivision controller though, so if you've never seen an Intellivision controller, look it up sometime. These aren't exactly the greatest sections of the game, but it does change up the gameplay. I give them credit.
Did I ever tell you about that time?
Russia? Yes, darling, 1,000 times. Just focus on catching them.
I do also find it amusing that they actually gave Destro a Scottish accent. So apparently somebody remembers the episode where they found the Lovecraftian horror underneath Destro's castle and tried to sacrifice Lady J to it. Man, cartoons in the 80s were nuts. Oh yeah, you also get a special attack. And yes, you actually can dodge that attack. Wait for it to light up. Hit your boost. Light up, boost. Light up, nope, boost. Oops. Ooh, that ain't good. Again, the consistency of this game is not great. Come on. There we go.
Agreed. We chased them far enough.
And with that, I think we're gonna give it a break for a little bit. You know, I can just barely force myself to play the Joe sections. I just want to play the Cobra sections. You don't understand. It's deep inside of me, the urge to just go over to Cobra. Cobra!